This is Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller. For the next hour, you'll learn impactful insider information as Christian and Dan teach about the ins and outs of Seattle's real estate market. Now, here's Christian and Dan.
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon and happy Monday to everybody. Welcome to Seattle Real Estate Radio. Hello to our viewers that are watching our video.
Good afternoon.
Yes. So, Dan, the Hawks won on Thursday night.
Hawks won. Mondays are always a little bit better when the Hawks perform well on the weekend.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And I was telling you before the show, and if I have a chance to get out on the water over the weekend, the Hawks win, it's a perfect Monday.
That sounds like a perfect weekend, actually.
Perfect weekend.
Yeah. So, did you get out fishing this weekend or no?
No, we're shutting it down for
the season.
Yeah, well, we'll shut it down for a couple of months, and then we'll head out and we'll get back out on the Sound fishing for winter blackmouth salmon. Yeah, we'll be talking about that here in the next month or two. But,
we always talk fishing, little real estate, little beer, food. Yeah, it's kind of what we do on the show.
Speaking of food, we had a little Seahawks party.
Yes.
You held an awesome Nossum. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we had an awesome Nossum client appreciation party last Thursday evening, because it was Thursday night football. It was really fun. We had a lot of clients, a lot of friends. It was a good mix of people. There was a lot of fun to be had. We had it at Liam's down at U Village,
one of our favorite places.
Yes, yeah. We had the back room all rented out for ourselves. They have their big projector and big screen, and it was fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's neat too to be in the position with you as a real estate professional, myself as a mortgage professional, where we have now worked on enough clients together that we can throw events like this and
do it kind of together because we have so many mutual clients.
It was great seeing people that we worked with over the last year, but maybe people that we helped 2 years ago,
last 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was great.
So, it was fun.
No, fun times, good food.
Yeah.
And a great football game.
Yes, exactly. It was kind of boring the second half.
Yeah.
Because everything happened in the first half. But
yeah.
Not
to get off tangent here, but in a matter of a year, how poorly the 49ers have, what a poor franchise they've turned into in a matter of months. You know, normally when you see a 49ers jersey, you're like, hey, this is going to be a battle. It's pretty weak.
Yeah. Yeah, we always do the awesome Nossum client appreciation party for the Seahawks versus the 49ers when they're in San Francisco.
Yep.
So it's kind of our yearly tradition because it's such a good rivalry, but not too exciting when the 49ers aren't really all that good.
Yeah.
But still scary because the Seahawks weren't really doing all that well either this season. So tend to lose a lot of fourth quarter leads. Yeah, well, but it was fun.
It was good.
Yeah. We had a lot of kids there too because there was a lot of young families that we've been helping lately, and we had some fun activities for the kids. My wife, Shannon, did a great job, who is also our producer. Shout out to Shannon. Thank you for everything. She did some pretty fun arts and crafts things for the kids. And, and then the world's best mac and cheese, because Liam's is owned by Beechers. And no, this is not sponsored by them. We just really like their food.
But if you're listening, Liam's, come on. We're giving you a huge plug here.
Sugar Mountain Company, I think, is who owns the parent company.
Yeah.
So anyways, maybe we should get them to sponsor sometime.
We should. Liam's in U Village. If you haven't eaten there, you should try it. It's very good. It's healthy. I don't know. Is it organic? I just know that everything they serve seems to be somewhat healthy.
Well,
nutritious.
And filled with a ton of cheese.
Exactly.
So maybe not that healthy.
Made from healthier sources.
There
healthier
you go.
cheese.
So today on the show, now that we've talked about Liam's for 10 minutes, today on the show, we are going to be talking about, I'm going to give my little real estate market update. Dan's going to give his mortgage minute. And we'll also be chatting with attorney Bill Kessler. He's going to talk to us about protecting investment properties and some estate planning. I'm kind of excited to pick his brain a little bit about stuff. Yeah. So we'll do a little 101 questions for people that don't know what an LLC is and what estate planning is, and then we'll kind of go into some more advanced questions as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a good segment. Bill is a local guy. He's a University of Washington grad, obviously law student. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, I think he went to Willamette University down in
Willamette,
Portland there.
For his law degree.
Yep.
I think he even played football at the U. We'll talk.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk with him
Wow.
about that. I think he
I
walked
didn't know
on or redshirted or back in the '90s when they actually
We're good.
were very good.
Yeah.
Empman, those days.
Yeah.
But Bill's a great guy. I've referred a lot of clients to Bill, and I know Bill personally, and he's the guy that I go to. I've got kids, and so from a will standpoint, estate planning standpoint, he's my go-to guy. So it's going to be a good segment today.
Yeah, I'm excited to get him on here in the second segment. So after this break, we'll do that. But we're not doing a break for a little bit more.
No,
So
let's talk.
it's kind of funny, though, because I'm a real estate agent. Obviously, Bill's an attorney. Both of us get a bad rap. People in general don't really love real estate agents or attorneys. It's funny, though, because my wife's an attorney as well. So the Nossums are apparently hated by everyone. So
Well, not by the Kellers, because I love realtors, and every attorney I've ever had to talk to has either saved me money or protected me. So
exactly.
I don't know why you guys get a bad rap, but I love you guys.
Well, I mean, if we got such a bad rap, why would so many people? I mean, we had 50 plus people at the party on Thursday.
Yeah.
If they didn't like me, they wouldn't be showing up at our events.
You're a cut above the rest, though. I mean, we've talked about that before. How you do business and how you've built your business is, and I work with a lot of real estate professionals. They use me as their preferred mortgage professional. And some of the things that you do stand out that a lot of other real estate agents are not doing. And you're an investor. Like you actually know homes. You actually know real estate. You're making money in the real estate markets and have been for quite some time. So, I just think you've got the competitive edge there. Plus, you've got a very intelligent wife kind of helping you with some of the and real estate contracts, real estate agents. You're dealing with legal contracts.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Shannon helps out a little there.
She helps out on our rentals and stuff like that sometimes. So, yes.
Yeah.
It's good to have her on board.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of the reason that I don't know, I think you and I both get the clients that we get is because, and a lot of them, I mean, we get a wide range of clients, but they all communicate in a different way. So some of them, I mean, the millennials are usually texting, sometimes email, and very rarely phone calls. Whereas baby boomers, they're usually phone call and email. More and more they're getting into texting, but I mean, the way that we communicate with our clients is, I mean, how many emails and texts have you had today alone?
Yeah.
I mean, probably a ton. I know I have.
Yeah.
And I very rarely get phone calls, especially from millennials. But and I tell my clients, hey, I know, what is your preferred method of communication? I have that sheet. I think you've seen it, where it's kind of the client info sheet where they fill out their info. I have a section on there. Hey, what's your favorite way to communicate? What's your preference? Rank it from 1 to 5. And I utilize that to communicate or tailor my needs to how they want to be communicated with.
Yeah.
So, but I do say sometimes, hey, I know that number 4 is phone call, but there's some situations where, I mean, we're making an offer. We need to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
And they're totally understanding of that. But you just gotta prep people.
Belly to belly's big, though, too. We saw that Thursday when we held the client appreciation party. A lot of people were, one of the things that I really liked about that, I don't want to get off track on this, but we saw a lot of people that came to that event that their friends were at that event because they recommended their friends. What I've noticed a lot in business is that, the old saying, birds of a feather tend to flock together. And it's just, where we're at in our careers, we could work with internet leads. We could work with anybody that we don't know. But it's so much nicer when you have a great experience working with the Johnsons, for example. And they were great clients. And the Johnsons know the Smiths. And the Smiths know the Richards, and they all tend to function, live life the same way.
Yeah.
And they're just great people. And so we saw that on Thursday night, which so much more fun doing business with great people that appreciate how we work.
And I think you and I are both at the point of our careers where we can choose to work with people that we want to work with at times.
Yeah.
If we just don't, if we're butting heads with a client, we can say we're not hurting for business. So we can say, hey, I don't think we're working very well together. I have a good referral for you if you need one, but I think we got to end this relationship.
Yeah.
And I've had to do that here and there.
It happens.
It is what it is, but it's nice to be able to do that and not have to work with someone that doesn't appreciate everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we really do. We work our butts off.
Yeah.
And we are available all the time.
Well, you were making a comment the other day. A friend of yours, relative of yours, was looking to get into real estate, and you what was the analogy that you used?
I said, well, yeah, you should totally get into real estate if you want to work 7 days a week and be on call nonstop 24 hours a day and
have to learn. Have to go back to school and learn something. Oh, and by the way, you're not going to have an instructor teaching you.
Exactly.
You have to do it on your own.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of gave her a whatever they call it, reality check. And she's like, yeah, that's not really what I want. She's like, it sounds like it's so flexible. And I'm like, well, to an extent. Yeah. I mean, you get to choose what 40 to 100 hours a week you want to work.
Yeah, exactly. What I say, I'm seeing a lot of people coming into the real estate market, meaning they're starting to sell real estate agents. Okay. Yeah. And as a mortgage professional, I have brokers saying, hey, I want you to meet with so-and-so. They just got their license. And my message as a financial professional is you're helping somebody make one of the largest financial decisions of their lives. You better know what you're doing. Yeah. Your advice, your guidance, your leadership can make or break them financially. And we saw that in the mid-2000s, 2005 to 2008. You had anybody and everybody, low barrier of entry. And so, that just comes back full circle to the reason why we have this show, to educate, empower our listeners and our clients.
Yep. And I've actually, since our first episode aired a couple weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago now, I actually received some phone calls from people, and they've reached out, and they've actually been very appreciative of the way that we work and the fact that we are more about educating you, more about getting you up to speed, not doing the hard sell, that kind of stuff. And it reverberates with people. It resonates with people. They appreciate that. And that's what people say. But I think now they're on kind of a bigger stage with the radio show. More and more are hearing it.
Yeah, more and more are hearing the message and blown away, too, with just the great response that we've had. So it's been fantastic. I'm excited for today, Christian. I really am. This is going to be a great show.
Yeah. Yeah. So real quick, Dan, why did you choose why you work at your office?
At New American?
Yeah.
Let's get back to that after the break, because I've got a couple of things I want to share that tie into our guest today.
Oh, all right. I guess we'll do that. We'll do that here after the break. So we'll be back. We got to take a quick break. I'm going to give you a quick update on the housing market, and then we're going to have Bill Kessler on as well.
Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, continues after this. Time for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
All right, welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300. This is Dan Keller. Hey, real quick, we kind of was getting thrown a curveball here right before break. We were going to talk about some of these new guideline changes and how our bank is taking them and working with the new changes as it relates to escrow and attorneys. And obviously, look, we both looked up at the same time and saw the clock, and we had 20 seconds left before commercial. We were like, we got to scratch this one. So, hey, we're going to get back to that. But I wanted to have you jump in real quick and give us kind of the housing market minute.
Yeah. So every week I'm doing my little real estate update, weekly update. Now, the thing is, real estate does not move nearly as quickly as mortgage. Mortgage rates, I mean, they can change numerous times a day.
As they already have today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's only, 3-something?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough sometimes for me to always say, hey, this is exactly what's happening. But that said, it's pretty interesting because by listening to the show every week, it's kind of fun because the listeners can actually learn what exactly is going on in the moment, where all the stats and all articles they're reading about the market, those are all 30, 60, 90 days out because it takes that long to report what's going on. So it's kind of fun that I get to be able to say, hey, this week, this is what's happening. This is what I saw with clients making offers. This is what I saw with my sellers, how many offers they were getting. So it's kind of fun to be able to do
let
that.
me throw this out there, though, too. A lot of the stuff that we see on the news, even on local TV stations, Christian, they're going off of global, national news, national real estate news, and global news. And so it's really refreshing to have kind of, hey, you're in the trenches 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, if you will.
Yeah, bro.
And
really
so,
I am.
right here. And then even getting more granular, different segments of Seattle, of the East Side, of King County, Pierce, and Homish are much different.
Vastly different, yeah. And my data is real time. I mean, what I'm seeing is exactly what's going on right now. So basically, where we're at with the market's still warm. It's not scorching like it was a few months ago, but there's definitely some pockets where it's going crazy still. So, for example, I had a client 2 days ago. There was an offer, or there was a house they wanted to make an offer on. Ended up being 11 pre-inspections on the house and 14 offers. So 3 people either said, we're not going to do an inspection, they're just waiving it, or they thought they could get the house by having an inspection contingency.
So for our listeners, what area of Seattle? What area?
That was North Seattle.
Okay. Okay.
And which is pretty common in that area. Wow. But that said, I mean, there's also, I had a client earlier in the week that, last week, that they made an offer and they were the only offers. So it's so hit and miss. It just depends on how well the home is priced when it hits the market, how well the house is prepped, how it's marketed online. All of these factors play into what's going on. So I'd say overall the market's still warm. It's not scorching. There's some properties here and there that are going to be a lot hotter properties, but not everything is going to be like that.
Got it.
So that's my mortgage update, or my market update.
And I look forward to those. No, this keeps me in the know. And when I'm talking to clients, it's all, I talk with you so often, but now with the show and with our homebuyer classes that we do, I always look forward to these because we were just talking to a client, at our client appreciation party on Thursday night that bought in February of last year. And we were just talking about kind of a year in review with her and how slow it was in February, and then boom, May hit, May, June, and took off on a rocket launcher, if you will. So, good. All right, man. Thank you.
So I'm really pumped because today we have Bill Kessler. He is he's a partner at the law firm of Beresford. Beresford. Yes. All right. I said it right. And they're in Edmonds. He practices in the area of business and real estate, and his practice includes both contract work and litigation. And Bill received his bachelor's degree from the University of Washington and graduated from Willamette University College of Law.
Yeah, no, this is great. I've been looking forward to this show. I reached out to Bill a couple of weeks ago and said we got to get you on. And I know you were out of town, so I appreciate you making time for us today. What I want to spend some time talking with Bill about today, I'm going to adjust my mic real quick and face Bill, is I want to explain to our audience, from a business standpoint, what is an LLC. Are those good tools to use in real estate? Do you see those a lot? And share with our listeners.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Dan and Christian.
Yeah.
The LLC is a great way to own investment real estate. An LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. It is essentially a corporation, the old form of owning a company or forming a company that was that could hold real estate. Would have to be in a corporation or in the owner's individual names. And the corporation is kind of a cumbersome entity for a small amount of people to own, to operate a business or to own real estate. You have shareholders and directors and officers, and they have to elect each other, and they have to elect down the chain. Anyway, for a couple guys owning real estate or a married couple owning real estate, that's not the way to go. So the LLC is. The LLC has what we call flow-through taxation. That just means that the IRS ignores the LLC. You hear it called flow-through or pass-through taxation. That's one benefit. The other benefit is the ease of governance. So again, unlike the corporation, you've got that benefit there of having the IRS ignore the LLC. The LLC can also be taxed like an S corporation. So sometimes you'll hear business owners, not usually in the residential real estate context, but sometimes in the commercial real estate context. Sometimes owners want to be taxed like an S corporation, for example, if they're going to pay themselves a salary and take a W-2. So they'll want that, and the LLC can actually file an S election with the IRS, so it can be an S corporation, which a lot of people don't know. So the LLC is a very flexible tool. It's the way to go for almost anybody owning investment real estate, especially on the residential side of that. The way I describe an LLC is it's like a hurdle. It's really all it is. So you've got one side of the hurdle is someone who might sue you. The other side of the hurdle is your investment real estate. And if someone sues you personally, you've got a lot of risk that person could try to jump over the hurdle and take your real estate to, say, satisfy a judgment. Of course, worst case scenario, that's what the LLC is for, is a worst case scenario. But not every hurdle is the same height. So my goal is to give my clients a hurdle that the plaintiff can't jump over. That's the goal.
Love it.
Yeah, I know we have our rentals and LLCs, and I mean, it just makes it so much easier. You feel more protected, and because you are.
So, for example, from a lending standpoint, we get clients that come in and they want to purchase a home in an LLC. From a lending standpoint, qualifying, very difficult to do. From a protection standpoint, from a client standpoint, obviously a great option. Tell me, what is, you mentioned that hurdle and adjusting it in regards to risk or security. So if a client of mine, let's say a client of mine purchases an investment home, they put 25% down, so the minimum down. That hurdle then would be less of a hurdle because there's not as much equity in the home. Is that if they were to get sued? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, really, what I was referring to is the quality of the LLC is the height of the hurdle. So, if you go and do an LLC yourself, and you try to craft your own operating agreement, I tell people don't do self-surgery. You wouldn't take out your own appendix. Don't try to draft your own LLC agreement. Don't form your own LLC. It's seemingly an easy thing to do, but the height of the hurdle, almost guaranteed, will be a lot lower than if you set up your LLC properly and have an attorney draft the documents necessary to do that. So that's what I mean by height of the hurdle. The way to increase the height of your hurdle, again, generally, is to have an attorney who does this sort of thing form the LLC. A lot of problems that I see, you've got people who set up the wrong management structure when they form it online themselves. They're looking for privacy sometimes, and you don't have that kind of privacy if you don't set it up with an attorney and have them walk through those steps the way that they can do. You'll also have the attorney, you can have the attorney act as what's called the registered agent, which means that any sort of lawsuit or subpoena would come to the attorney most likely instead of to your front door at your house or to your office. Also, the attorney, when they set up the LLC, that a lot of people don't do is they obtain a tax ID number, a taxpayer ID number, or an EIN with the IRS. And that way you can set up a bank account for the LLC. Even though the LLC is ignored by the IRS, you still want that separate EIN. So there's just a few things that you can do there that don't constitute self-surgery. Don't do self-surgery.
Yeah, no, that's huge. So from a somebody purchasing an investment home, new, maybe needs some advice, what would be the number one thing that they would have to, risk-wise, that they would have to worry about in regards to being sued, why they would want an LLC to protect them?
Sure. Well, first of all, you can be sued by your tenant, whether that's commercial or residential. You can be sued by a contractor. Okay. So anyone that you engage in a contract with can sue you. Okay. So that's what I call the liability through the front door. So in other words, the liability arises associated with the LLC. But it's also protection if the liability arises associated with something other than the LLC. So in other words, you incur liability in your life that doesn't have to do with your investment property. And you're going to have that investment property exposed to collection and execution and seizure, whatever word you want to use, by that judgment creditor if you suffer a judgment. It also encourages a judgment creditor to press forward against you if that plaintiff's attorney knows that there's a big piece of real estate out there to grab. Whereas if it's protected in LLC, it's they see that hurdle coming, and it dissuades them from pursuing litigation heavily.
There you go. Okay, totally get that. Okay, good. One last thing before we go to break. We got about a minute and a half. This is a huge question. I think all of our listeners will value from this. What are the common mistakes that you see homeowners or investors getting themselves into when it comes to purchasing real estate and investment properties?
Sure. Well, again, it really is forming their LLC. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make, and the major problem with that is drafting your own LLC agreement, or worse, or sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's better not having one. You definitely want to have a good LLC agreement so that the LLC can pay for your legal defense if you get sued. You have to have a contract that says that. You also have to have a contract that allows you to take distributions from your LLC. Otherwise, you're not allowed under law to do that. And if you do those things without a contract that allows you to do them, you can lose your liability shield. The LLC in a piece of litigation could lose its liability shield. Not a good thing.
So it's like insurance. It's it's protection. It's protection, risk management. So
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, that's great info. I'm kind of pumped to hear more
Yeah.
after the break. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to pick Bill's brain some more. We'll ask him some estate planning questions. So stay tuned to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM.
You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller. We'll be right back. We're back with Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Welcome back. This is Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. Now it's time for Dan's weekly mortgage minute. So, Dan, what the heck's going on out
did
there?
you get that music tuned in so we get the little bell or the little da-da-da-da for the mortgage minute?
No,
Not
not
yet?
yet. We need to do that. It's only our third show, man. We got to get things prepped.
Well, hey. Well, we got to dress up the mortgage minute.
Yes,
No.
we do.
Well, like
It's very exciting.
It moves. It moves a little quicker, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's
The housing market, pretty slow. Mortgage minute, numerous times a day.
it's Monday. Well, we're end of trading today at 3 o'clock. I mean, we trade off East Coast time, but just today the market's moved numerous times throughout trading today, throughout business today. But let me backtrack to last week. Okay. So Tuesday was a big day. Actually, stocks rallied on Tuesday. Mortgage bonds suffered, so rates got worse on Tuesday. But they got, and this is what happens with mortgage bonds. This is why working with a pro is so important. Mortgage bonds worsened in anticipation for the ECB, which, again...
Acronym.
Yeah, another acronym.
We need one of those sound bites, too.
European Central Bank. And you're
Got
sitting
it.
here going, I'm in the U.S. How in the heck does that affect mortgage rates in the U.S.? Well, the ECB, European Central Bank, has been talking. There's been talks about them lowering their funds rate. So in anticipation for that on Wednesday... the markets rallied. Rates got worse. Mortgage rates in the U.S. got worse. Well, check this out. They not only lowered their funds rate, but there's talks about continuing, like a massive reduction. It's bad. So that
So
rally,
what does that mean?
Yeah, well, that rally turned on Wednesday and Thursday, and we got back all of our losses in mortgage bonds. Rates improved Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, they kind of leveled out. But when was it? Thursday morning, I tweeted and I threw something out on Facebook, a little short 15-second video, and it said something that had to do with our retail sales reports for the month came in lower than expected.
I watched this video, by the way.
And bonds were rallying as a result. And so this is what's weird right now, Christian. We've got a lot of negative global and national economic news. So rates are dropping, rates are falling, but when pending sales reports and home start reports come out, real estate-related news comes out, it's positive. So right now we've got negative economic news, mortgage rates falling, but real estate doing really well. It's not a combo that you see often.
Yeah.
So
no, that's pretty unique,
yeah,
actually.
I mean, I'm using this. This is not me selling you on why it's a good time to buy right now. This is a rare time where we see these indices, these indicators acting the way they're acting, which is, I don't want to say the perfect storm, because I don't think this is a storm. This is the perfect opportunity to
that's
invest
a really good
in real
point.
estate.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So this week, early this week, we'll see. It's too early to project this week, but based off of last week, rates are down.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very interesting mortgage minute. That's one of the best ones so far, I've heard.
Well, we'll continue to bring them. I mean, like I said, there's news every week.
Yeah,
that changes.
exactly.
So
I mean, there's all those all those reports that come out, and depending on what the stocks are doing and bonds are doing, I mean, it's always changing. So it's fun to do.
And leveraging this information when people ask me, why should we use you versus a big bank or a credit union? Well, our rates are the same. Our fees are the same. You get this data that you would not get from, another lending institution. So this is great. It gives you the advantage.
That's why I love working with you, Dan. So today we have back with us for this segment attorney Bill Kessler from Beresford booth. We just got some great info about LLCs and investment properties, but now I kind of want to bring Bill back into the conversation about some estate planning. So let's start kind of from the beginning of estate planning. I know some of our audience is probably very, very familiar with this, but I think some of them probably aren't as well. We have a pretty varied audience. So what exactly is estate planning? Is it just getting a will, or what the heck is it?
Well, for most people, the most important document in their estate plan is the will.
Okay.
But any core estate plan is usually 4 documents. It's your will, so what happens to your stuff when you pass away, and also guardianship provisions for your children, kind of the 2 main portions of a will. Estate planning also includes a power of attorney for financial matters, a power of attorney for medical matters, which is a separate document, and the 4th document is a lot of people call a living will or an advanced medical directive or a healthcare directive or a DNR. You hear it called all of those things, but it's the same thing. Those 4 documents are the core of any estate plan. And then when your net worth starts creeping up north of $4 or $5 million, there are other things that you can do to try to avoid estate tax. So your estate plan could get more complicated, and there could be a lot more for you to do. It's a nice problem to have, but death tax tends to be the reason that an estate plan can get more complicated than those 4 documents.
Yeah, that makes sense. So who kind of needs a will? Does pretty much everybody need a will? Should everyone that listens go out and get one? And how do you do that?
I mean, if you care enough to listen to the program, then 10 to 1 you need a will. More than that, you need a will.
Yeah.
Very few people who are functioning adults don't need a will. For the young people listening who have young children, very important to have guardianship provisions built into the will. So you're directing a court as to what your desires are for someone to raise your children in the event that you and your spouse cannot do that. Also important for you to have a trust built into the will for the children so that they don't receive all of the money at age 18. Most people don't want their kids to have everything at age 18, and you can build a trust into the will that is dormant. It's called a testamentary trust, and it springs into being upon the death of the second spouse. So again, that's built into any properly drafted will. When people have minor children, or even non-minor children, people that are children or other beneficiaries that they don't want to have the property outright, they can leave it in trust.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's good stuff. So what are common questions or concerns that most people have when they're doing this process, when they're setting this up?
Sure. The main one is I get 2 sort of main groups of clients. One is people with young children, and they're getting on an airplane. And they tend to think of me in that situation for obvious reasons. And they're right to do that. It's no time like the present to get squared away. So what's going to happen? What's the guardianship of my children going to look like? Do I want my family to be fighting over my children, or do I want to be able to direct to the court how I want my children to be raised, or who I want to be raising my children? So that's very important. Another group of people, of course, elderly folks who don't have their estate plan squared away, or they think that they do, or they've got a very old will and they have questions about whether it's still in effect or valid. Or
how often should people be reviewing their will? I mean, is that something that you need to do kind of annually, every semi-annually?
I usually say every 5 years, or if you get a lot more money, or if you have more children.
So if something changes,
major.
And then even if it doesn't change, you should probably review it every 5 years.
I tell people to pick up the phone, give me a call every 5 years, even if nothing has changed. If you receive an inheritance, if your net worth takes a jump up, especially if your net worth starts climbing over $4 million, there's a trust that's built into the will. Washington State death taxes kick in at $2 million, meaning that every dollar above $2 million is taxed in an estate. But when you have spouses, they are able to long story short, they're able to build a second trust into the will, so separate from the trust for their children. But it's a second trust sometimes called a disclaimer trust or a bypass trust or a credit shelter trust, all the same thing. And the idea is that the spouse, the way I describe it, is a spouse who passes away second, so the surviving spouse, when her husband passes away, she can pick up his shield, is the way I describe it. So she now has two shields in this example, so up to $4 million of shield against death tax. But when you start getting above that, there are more complicated things that can be done.
So, I mean, you mentioned a trust. So what? Maybe explain what a trust is for those that don't know.
Sure. So in the case of a disclaimer trust, the tax avoidance trust that I was talking about, you have the surviving spouse is the trustee, and the trustee controls the trust. Any trust anywhere in America has three parties. You have a settlor, so the creator of the trust. You have the beneficiary.
So is the creator like you? Is that
no? I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, it would be like the spouses in the case of a credit shelter trust. So you would have the creator, so the person who has settled the trust and put the funds into the trust. Okay. That's the settlor. You have a beneficiary, so the person who's going to eventually get everything, right? Yep. And then you have the trustee, which is the person who controls what the trust does, controls where the funds go in the trust, or if it holds real estate or cash or whatever it is, controls the assets of the trust. So those are the three parties. So surviving spouse, in the case of a tax avoidance trust, the disclaimer trust, the surviving spouse serves as the first option to be the trustee, and takes that, rather than taking that money herself. In this example, when wife survives husband, she can push that money into the trust, and that's how she picks up his shield. If you have a properly drafted disclaimer trust, she can contact her lawyer within 9 months of husband's death, in this example. And there are disclaimer documents that can be drafted where she disclaims, she says, no, I don't want to receive husband's one half of all of our property. I'm going to, instead, when that's going to come to me, I'm instead going to push that into the trust that's created within our will. That trust is then going to no longer be dormant. It's going to spring into being. And that trust, so wife will be able to control the trust as the trustee. So husband's half of all of the assets that would have otherwise come to wife go to the trust, and the trust retains husband's $2 million shield against death taxes. Got it.
So what other estate planning tools do people use to avoid excessive taxes? I mean, I know, like avoiding the death tax, that's a big one.
Sure. Yeah, when you get to when you start getting over $4 million, you have options. Number one, the easiest one is gifting. You can give away your assets. You can give away up to $14,000 a year, individual to individual, without filing a gift tax return. There's no tax after that, but it reduces the lifetime triggering point federally for the amount that you can give away. But you want to be able to do something other than gifting. You can have a trust called an ILIT, an irrevocable life insurance trust, where you take life insurance and you actually just pay the death tax with life insurance death benefit. That's one vehicle. You can set up a family LLC or family limited partnership and give away ownership interest of that. All of these things are a little bit more complicated and not necessary until you get to about $4 or $5 million. Yeah.
Got it. Now, this is huge. This is really great info. We need to talk more about this, but we've got to take a break. We're certainly going to have you back. We definitely have to spend more time talking about this topic because we need to learn more. Stay tuned, because once we come back, we're going to talk about Amazon's new pet project.
Yes, it's very interesting. I'm excited to talk about it. Sweet. It's going to be kind of cool.
Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts Christian Nossum and Dan Keller continues after this. Time for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Welcome back. You are listening to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL Business Radio 1300 AM. Well, Dan, I'm glad we had Bill in here. I learned quite a bit. What were your big takeaways from that?
Bill, I knew Bill was going to be a big resource to our listeners. I've known Bill for probably going on 5 years. had an opportunity to work with one of his clients when I first met him, and man, he's just a phenomenal resource. I think, what I want you guys and what I want our listeners to know is how to reach this guy. I think put him in your back pocket, and
just as a good resource in case you ever need him. And I mean, if you don't have a will, apparently everyone needs to have one, so you should probably give him a call.
Yeah,
and it sounds like he does kind of that stuff on a flat fee.
We asked him over the break, price wise. I know what I've paid him. It's not as expensive as you might think.
Yeah.
It's a flat fee, but it's obviously it's on a client-by-client basis, depending on
your situation,
your net worth, your situation, dependence, all of that good stuff. But it's important. It's really important stuff. It's not glamorous to talk about death. I mean, it's not I've got 2 younger kids. You have 2 younger kids. The last thing I want to think about is dad not coming home, But that's why I have life insurance, and which is going to be another guest that we've got coming up, is how to position yourself with the best insurance coverages. But that's one of the reasons why, you get that kind of risk protection, if you will. So if something were to happen to me, I want to know that, Jenny and the kids are fine. If something were to happen to Jenny and I, God forbid.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we have friends that have lost both of their parents in a plane crash. Man. That would be the ultimate, would be the worst thing.
Yeah, worst possible.
Yeah. So anyhow, Christian, I think it was just a very, very valuable session.
Yeah. So how do you have his contact?
I do.
Info there?
I do. I have it right here. I want you to listen up, and obviously feel free to reach out to us if you missed this. But his name is Bill Kessler. He's with the law firm of Beresford Booth.
It's a hard one to say.
Well, I think it's eady for you to say because it has beers. Beers. I'm from Chicago. Beers.
I think it's Bear.
I think that's how you're supposed
to say it. Yeah.
Beresford Booth, based out of Edmonds, Edmonds Bowl. Originally founded in Seattle in 1946. It's 11 attorneys. They pride themselves on providing downtown service with all the convenience of North End location. The attorneys of Beresford Booth practice a wide range of civil law, including real estate, business, estate planning, divorce, and employment law. Specific to our discussion today as it relates to LLCs, real estate, and estate planning, Bill Kessler is a resource. He's your resource. He is. We had an opportunity to talk to numerous attorneys. Heck, your wife knows a lot of
them.
She is one.
She is one.
And we chose Bill on our session. And like you were saying a couple of weeks ago, we go through a pretty strict vetting process. So. Bill's our professional. We would love to. We're so glad we had him on the show. His contact info, 425-776-4100, 4100. So 776-4100. And, give him a call if you need anything. He's a great resource.
So I'm glad he was on. But I got to talk a little bit about U Village and Liam's and what's going on down there. So when we were over there at Liam's in U Village for our Seahawks party last Thursday, I don't know, did you walk around at all before, or have you been down there at all with all the... Okay.
Yeah, we're always down there. Chipotle's going in. Chipotle's going in right across from Liam's.
Yep.
But
the Blue Sea Sushi moved, and then where Blue Sea used to be, there is rumored to be a little pet project for Amazon. They're thinking this is a rumor. It's not... GeekWire.com, they reported this, and some other news outlets have kind of spun this out of control a little bit, but the reports are saying that spot is going to be a brick-and-mortar Amazon.com store.
Stop.
Yeah. So it's kind of confusing to me because Amazon's online. Everything's online. So it's a little confusing why they'd want a brick and mortar. I'm not quite sure, but
why not?
Why
You're
not?
Amazon.
Exactly. You can do whatever the heck you want.
You sure can. Yeah.
So like the reports are saying like it's called Anne, like the female name Anne Bookstore, and even like construction workers that are walking or doing work, they don't even know who's going in there. It's all hush hush, but all the rumors are pointing to the fact that it's going to be an Amazon bookstore. So if it's not an Amazon bookstore, whatever bookstore it is, because everyone's seen books and bookshelves and stuff in there, they're getting a lot of free publicity right now because everyone's going to go, wow.
Yeah. The hype.
Yeah. And like U Village, Starbucks has 4 actual Starbucks in U Village. They also have their tea place, which is Tivana or Tivana or whatever it's called. They use U Village as kind of a test site for doing all these different stores. Oh, and they also have their Evolution Fresh. So they have like 5 or 6 different stores just in U Village.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And so I think Amazon's kind of using that as well as a little test spot to see what happens. That's pretty interesting.
It's a rockin' area. My wife and I love heading down there. I mean, there's obviously a few. Well, you guys live right near U Village.
We do. Yeah.
You are U Village.
It's funny. Some of Shannon, my wife's friends, has called her the queen of U Village because every time we're there, she always sees at least one person that we know.
Oh yeah,
and that's just kind of what you do as a stay-at-home mom. Apparently, you go to U Village. I don't know.
Walk around.
Is that what you do? Yes, she's shaking her head.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. She rendezvous with Jenny.
The new bathroom, apparently, the female bathroom on the south side is just apparently amazing. It's humongous. Which is weird to talk about, but that's it's true. Apparently, it's some massive female restroom with a big lounge and all sorts of stuff. So
I just know every time we go there, which is often, we hit the Starbucks, get our coffee, walk around.
Which one do you go to?
The one right by Pottery Barn. Okay, right when you walk, right when you pull
main
in,
one.
The main one. And we always end up, whether we eat at Liam's or not, we end up at Molly Moon's.
Well,
big old
smell.
Fat ice cream cone. And the line. Here's the thing. This is what blows my mind from a business standpoint. People will wait, no matter when and what time,
or what time of year.
There's a line all the way out their business. Yeah. 30, 40, 50, 100 feet down the sidewalk.
Yeah,
and people will wait for a Molly Moon's, and they only have a few flavors. It's not like they
swap them out. So there's new ones coming all the time.
Yeah,
and they're always trying new things. But it doesn't matter if it's winter.
Nope.
Freezing out, snowing out. There's still people waiting for ice cream.
Yep.
So, I mean, what's your favorite? What's your kids' favorite ice cream flavors? What do they usually go for?
Well, Hudson likes strawberry, pink strawberry. Allie, she's a bubble gum. She likes the bubble gum, but they don't have it at Molly's. So she'll do kind of like her mom, something with chocolate.
Yep.
Something with chocolate. How about you?
Well, so me personally, my wife and I can't have dairy. So, but they have non-dairy ice cream there quite a bit, and they even have chocolate fudge that's non-dairy, which is pretty interesting. So, yeah. So we always get whatever is the non-dairy flavor of the month, and then the kids, Avalie always gets vanilla. That's her favorite. Yeah, and then she likes sprinkles. So. Yeah, and then Bowden, he's only one, so he kind of gets whatever sister's eating.
Whatever. Leftovers.
Yeah, but he loves sweets.
Yeah.
Like he is, if he could eat cookies for lunch, he would do that. And in fact, he has. I think he has before.
Yeah.
It was
cool seeing your little guys running around the other night at the client appreciation party. And, And, that's going to be a big part of the show, talking about kind of obviously real estate and Seattle real estate, but we want our listeners to know that we're real. We have families. We're in the community. You're going to see us in the community.
Exactly. And if you ever do, don't hesitate to say hi.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're very approachable people. So, yeah. I mean, if I'm out on a date with my wife, maybe not.
She's approachable.
She is. Yeah. She's very pretty, though. So some people are scared of her.
Yeah. Well, I think both you and I have kind of hit it out of the park in regards to, out of our league.
Yeah, exactly. We got pretty lucky.
Yeah, I certainly did.
I know I did. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to bring up.
Brownie points.
So, if you're listening, Jenny. One of the things I wanted to bring up is we record all of our sessions. So you can go to YouTube. You can find us on YouTube.
Yep.
You can find us on SeattleRealEstateRadio.com.
Yep.
And listen back.
Yeah.
So
if you ever want to get Bill's information again, or remember that restaurant that we talked about in the first episode that I actually just had for lunch today, Mediterranean Express over on Capitol Hill. I mean, if you want to do any of those things, you can always listen back to any of the episodes, and it's there for you guys.
Yeah, so. I know the website this week is under construction. They're putting in the podcast version of the show, but hit us up on SeattleRealEstateRadio.com.
Yeah, and next week at 3 o'clock next Monday, we're going to have a housing and mortgage market update, and then also have our guest, Travis Spikes, who is the owner of Wood Crafters Construction on.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about putting on a second story and some other remodeling updates. So it's going to be a good show.
To contact the show, or for more information, visit SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. That's SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And be sure to tune in again next Monday at 3 for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, right here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.